SOLIDFPS here, and in this video I'll be finally going over my Serena builds that I put together on stream during the first couple days of Season 2.2. If you're just getting back into the game, definitely get your hands on this Descendant, she's got it all. A boss build that either one-shots the final Abyss boss with a new ATAM sniper, or clears him in 2 seconds with a last dagger. An AoE speed farming build with some fun dash and smash gameplay, and most importantly, a powerful gun build that trivializes the highest level of Void Erosion Purge, both solo and in group play. With that said, let's get into it. I have 4 presets for Serena that I'll cover in this video since she's basically replaced every other Descendant in the game. Starting off with the farm build, the gameplay revolves around cycling your 3rd and 4th abilities pretty much non-stop throughout any farming content until you reach a boss, and then you can swap to a gun and delete him. Serena also has some pretty cool movement tech. You can use the mid-air grapple into a melee attack while your hover is activated, which lets you preserve momentum and glide faster through content. It's honestly very satisfying to mix in an otherwise mindless farming content that we all run hundreds of times. Anyways, you get the idea, let's get to the mods. To get the smash ability, you need to find and equip Divine Surge. It's a fire singular skill with a max expandable range of 250%, which means that if we want to scale its power and uptime, we need a mix of mods that buff fire singular skill power, up to 150% skill range from mods and other sources, as much cooldown reduction as we can get to reach the 90% cap, and a way to sustain all this ability spam with a mix of cost reduction and MP recovery. Pretty straightforward shopping list of stats, so this is what I put together. I chose to slot in Fire Amp, Singular Amp, and Power Increase for more damage, and compensated for the cooldown loss by also putting in Multi-Talented. You could also run this for a little less damage but more convenience by ensuring you max out cooldown reduction and giving yourself more MP recovery. It doesn't matter which version you run as long as you can freely spam your abilities. Farming content is incredibly trivial in this game, so it's hard to go wrong. Since I wanted a single reactor for all my Serena builds, I went for cooldown and cost. Someday I'll bother to find one with double gold stats and max it out, but it's just not that necessary. For the farming build, I just run 4-piece Hunter for the extra MP recovery. Here we just want max HP and every MP related stat we can get since Serena gets so MP hungry. Here's my RK tuning board for farming. Most important stats here are cooldown, range, cost, MP recovery, and skill power. Not much more to discuss here. There's only 2 nodes worth mentioning here on Serena's farming build. Selective neurostimulation for more MP recovery. Quantum domain to help us reach the range cap. With the farming build covered, in this next section we'll go over the boss build. With my fully modded Serena loadout, we want to be in hover mode, double jump into the air, cast our 4th ability while in the air for a damage buff, and use dash to reset our double jump cooldown to keep us airborne before one-tapping the boss with a fully charged ATAMs. The process is similar with Last Dagger, but what's really important is saving the dash to trigger a reload, which procs Firing Fiesta for 3 seconds of infinite ammo right before shooting the boss. Serena's 4th ability is a buff that is either defensive if you cast it on the ground, or offensive if you cast it in the air. The damage buff is what we care about, and it's insane because it gives you a damage multiplier that scales with how much max HP you stack. So now that you know the combo and how the 4th ability scales, here's the mods I use. We stack as much HP and shields as possible and then use overwhelming HP to convert shields into HP. More HP equals more damage. I'm also bringing back the old tightrope and conditional recharge combo for a little more firearm attack, along with shot focus since bosses die so fast they don't get to fight back. You might be familiar with this combo if you saw it in my old Gluttony speed kills back in the day when the game was supposed to have a challenge. If, for whatever reason, you're using these risky mods in public matchmaking and you're not capable of one-shotting the boss, take them off. Otherwise, I'm sure your random teammates will hate you for being on the floor, and it's your fault for screenshotting a build instead of learning how to play it. Anyways, moving on to components, we know that more HP equals more damage, so just get any 4 components that increase max HP by 646 per piece. Also look for gold max HP and max shields. Here's my RK tuning board for bosses. The important stats here are crit damage, weak point damage, affinity damage, and colossus damage to scale our guns multipliers up, and then moving south to pick up as much HP as we can to further scale Serena's damage buff. Between mods, components, and RK tuning, we're pushing really close to 40,000 HP, which should result in a pretty massive damage multiplier for our guns. As for inversion, the sniper doesn't really care about anything on this page. With Last Dagger, however, we can grab the weak point, toxic, and multi-hit nodes shown here to get a boost against Tormentor. What's really funny about the Tormentor one-tap is that I haven't even catalyzed my ATAMs yet, and this loadout was able to one-shot him when I hit a crit. When I do get around to fully catalyzing it, it'll look like this, with the elemental mods eventually getting swapped out to others when you're taking it into future bosses. We'll stack attack, crit, weak point like usual, but we're going to use charge amp for more attack at the cost of crit damage, since this weapon doesn't have any firearm cores. Then we'll compensate that loss by slotting in a crit damage core instead. As for substats, you want Colossus attack, crit damage, and weak point damage. I also have toxic, but it would have been better if I have gotten firearm attack. Then the cores are simple, 1 toxic and 1 for crit damage. As for last dagger, the only really important thing here is that unlike Glay, Serena has to reload. But Serena's dash is allowed to proc a reload, which procs Firing Fiesta, and that gives us a 3-second window of pure DPS. Also, while airborne, we have some multi-hit buffs from Serena's hover and inversion, so we might as well take multi-piercing trigger for a little extra DPS over taking another elemental mod. Otherwise, everything else here is pretty standard. As for last dagger's substats, I specifically built the second one for bosses using 5 of those weapon selection boxes. This one is rolled with crit damage, weak point, and crit rate like usual, but instead of firearm attack, I have Colossus damage, which is also getting boosted by the arcade tuning board. And then the cores are standard, 1 elemental, 2 fire rate, 2 firearm attack. Moving on from the boss build, next up we have the Void Erosion Purge solo build. Serena's job in Void Erosion Purge is to find optimal flight paths room to room, stay buffed with a 4th ability, and focus on elites while your explosive damage cleaves the rest of the trash mobs. With minimal practice, I've been clearing these in about 3 minutes using Serena with the new Ancient Knight multi-hit assault rifle, Last Dagger, and Restored Relic. This new AR seems pretty good, but I think both this gun and Serena end up scaling better in group Void Erosion Purge because of her ability to spam a group-wide buff which can trigger a few mods that give strong damage buffs. For Void Erosion Purge, we'll use the Him Transcendent mod, which makes our dash give our team a movement speed buff and gives us the ability to hold dash for longer movement. The other important thing about Serena is using her 4th ability in the air for a damage buff. Now I mentioned how important it was to stack HP to do more damage with the buff in the boss build, but what's even more important for Void Erosion Purge is the fact that it makes every bullet do explosive damage in an AoE around your target, and that range can be buffed. So for solo play, this is what I use. We have the typical 2 HP mods to increase survivability. We have 4 cooldown mods to help us get to the 90% cap. But what's really important is also slotting in a range mod to boost the room clearing of Serena's explosive rounds and adding in convenience stats like cost reduction, MP recovery, and skill duration to help her uptime. In group play, I replaced one of my convenience mods with Passionate Sponsor, which is basically a free 75% attack buff with how often we'll be dashing and buffing allies. Since we know Serena is MP hungry but also needs HP to do damage, I use 2-piece Hunter with 2-piece Ascending so I get at least 3 big HP components as well as the 2-piece cost and cooldown bonuses. As usual, we want max HP and any sort of MP recovery rolls to help our sustain. This is my arcade tuning board for Void Erosion Purge. The goal here was to stack as much multi-hit and cooldown as possible, so I grabbed every multi-hit related node on the left and then flew over to the cooldown on the right. For level 30 Void Erosion Purge, I grabbed chill rounds, airborne multi-hit, and the extra MP recovery inversion buffs. As for guns, I've been using the new Ancient Knight AR, and it's basically just designed for Serena. The whole point of this weapon is to stack multi-hit and stay in the air while you shoot, which also gives you a massive multi-hit damage buff while you're up there. Since this is a multi-hit weapon, I slammed in all the multi-hit mods I could fit in which had penalties I could live with. Multi-hit mods usually take away your crit damage, so that lets us use Charge Amp as our second attack mod. Other than that, taking 1 mag size mod seems like a must since we need to have enough bullets at max fire rate to stall until our dash is ready again. So for a solo Void Erosion Purge, I'm using 2 attack mods, 2 chill mods, 1 fire rate mod, 1 mag mod, and 4 multi-hit mods. The one thing I think is debatable here is whether we care about the multi-bullet mod which applies deep wounds, or if we'd prefer more mag size in solo play. However, in groups, I swap out the Deep Wounds mod for multi-circulation, which provides a tremendous amount of multi-hit damage, which should have 100% uptime while using Serena's Him dash near teammates. As for substats, this weapon is tuned for level 30 Purge, so we have Legion of Darkness damage, chill, firearm attack, and mag size. And then the cores are set up just like Last Dagger, 1 chill, 2 firearm attack, 2 fire rate. In level 30 Purge, I also like to use a Last Dagger swap on the final boss. Just like our build for bosses, we need to use Firing Fiesta for 3 seconds of infinite ammo on Serena. And since level 30 is weak to pierce and chill damage, we'll add in Overwhelm and chill enhancement. This dagger is rolled with the usual DPS stats, crit damage, weak point, firearm attack, and crit rate. And the cores follow the standard 1 chill, 2 firearm attack, 2 fire rate. And finally, moving on to our last weapon, we have the Restored Relic. It was really good last season, but I'm barely using it now that I main Serena. In practice, I just use it on the second phase of the final boss to kill some mobs as soon as they spawn. Pretty standard build, 2 attack, 1 fire rate, 1 crit rate, 2 crit damage, and 4 chill related mods. And the stats are similar to all the other level 30 Purge weapons. I have Legion of Darkness damage, chill attack, explosive attack, and crit damage, as well as 2 chill cores and 3 fire rate cores. So yeah, that's my entire collection of builds for Serena, and as you can see, she's the complete package. I had fun playing her and trying out all these new and balanced toys, but what do you think the devs are going to do about the current endgame? Most of the game outside of Void Erosion Purge gets one-shotted. It takes longer to load into what should be a pinnacle boss fight than it does to complete it. I'll still revisit this game from time to time both as a player and a content creator, but the current state of balance makes me feel like this game's got less staying power per season than, say, the first weekend in a new season of Diablo 4, which can be more or less completed after a reasonable weekend of gaming. Just some closing thoughts I had. Anyways, I hope you found the video useful, and if you did, feel free to like and subscribe for any of my future gaming content. I've been blasting all sorts of games on live streams for the past 10 years on Twitch, and only recently have I been multi-streaming so that all the gameplay gets backed up here on my YouTube channel. Just letting you guys know what you signed up for when you decide to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.